The Red Book by Louis-Claude de Saint-Martin. 1. Science is man's shame because it let him feel all he has lost. 2. Speech is the sword of man. 3. All the tears of a man would not suffice to wash him. 4. My life in this body is my penance. 5. I shall pray thee while I am healthy, so that thou wilt not forget me when I shall be sick. 6. Nothing makes the soul indifferent as material prosperity. 7. If you do good, you will gain all the knowledge. 8. Thy will be done, not mine. 9. It is true that women may be virgins, and that is the torment of the fivefold point. 10. When has a man prayed enough? 11. 3 is to 4 as 7 is to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 1, 1 to 1, etc. 12. It is much simpler to deny his principle than to follow it. So many ungodly men just do that. 13. All men are prophets without knowing it. 14. All the human gatherings are useless because they don't have a president. 15. Trying to catch material things is like chewing nothing. 16. It is because of the 2V that we have 5 fingers on each hand. 17. The hope for death is the comfort of my days. 18. Never say the other life, because there is only one life. 19. Do not complain, O man, that the ways of wisdom are slow. This is your sentence, and you cannot accomplish anything but with the time. 22. There are only 4 operations in mathematics, from which only 3 figures may be derived. 23. What are men stupid when they believe to be alive? 24. Among the created things, nothing is born, but by its opposite. This is the evidence of the unreal, where everything is a copy. 25. He doesn't want to be known, so we should let him alone. This is the safest way, and what pleases him the most. 26. Begin the study of your lessons by the moon. 27. If reproduction was only a process, all forms in each species would be the same. 29. The minor tone doesn't exist in nature. It is the result of 5, a human invention. 30. Purification is accomplished by getting closer to our being. Those who feel nothing cannot make reparation for anything. They can only further stain themselves. 33. We are all widowers. Our task is to get married again. 34. The sevenfold is a state of tension. Rest is achieved only in the number 8. 37. The Father has 3 children, and that demonstrates the superiority of 1 above 3. 38. There is nothing worse than a bad prayer. 39. Death is action. Who can give it the idea of nothingness? 40. What is further from us than what is not. 43. A man should watch the desires of his soul, because they are powerful, and their strength may allow him to acquire. 44. Men use the real to worship the unreal, but the unreal was given to them to worship the real. 44. Men use the real to worship the unreal, but the unreal was given to them to worship truth. 45. One must be virtuous to love, and must love to pray. 46. We should not search for him. We should wait for him in peace, in obedience, and with confidence. 47. He that always follows the games of his spirit claims in vain to be happy. 49. The intellect is the telescope of the spirit. 51. The scriptures will never be justified by the letter. 52. The square is only the emblem of the children of the Father. It derives all its properties only from them. 53. Try, in all circumstances of your life, to be greater than what you are doing. 54. In natural geometry, the whole is smaller than the sum of its parts. 4 and 9 are smaller than 4. 55. Men make of their eyes the limit of their spirit, when they should only give him guidance and a sign. 56. It is a blessing for men that God couldn't create a world eternal as he is. 57. A man shouldn't take another man for his best friend. 58. There is no joy equal to the joy of wisdom. 61. Live only the life of your spiritual soul. 63. The sins that man can forgive are dull sermons at the best. 64. As man cannot know death, death cannot know life. 65. As life cannot know death. 59. Death cannot know life. 60. 66. He is doubtful of his little faith and of his power. 67. Once a man has tasted the sweetness that is reserved for him, he'll never want anything else. 69. Obtain, if you want, the intelligence of the universal hieroglyph. It was created only to be understood. 70. When a man has faith in wisdom, she takes such good care of him that she turns his vices to his benefit. There is the shame and the punishment of the 5. 72. There are no straight lines in nature, because nature is a prison, and that this same nature makes only circular prisons. 73. The world consists of 3 double reasons, which makes 6 in the average and 8 in the fact and the action. 74. The first reason for anything is double. This means that 2 is the cause of all generation. 75. Adam must have had a navel, because his umbilical cord went from the surface to the center. 76. There are only 4 consonants and 2 dissonances in harmony. O truth, how beautiful you are. 78. Everything depends on preparation. 79. The eightfold cannot yet be reintegrated, because 9 separates it from the tenfold. 81. Man is but one ticket in God's raffle. 82. Fire is below and wants to be above. It keeps the entire nature in suffering and is subjugated, and its subjected creatures as well. 83. It is impossible for pride to win over godliness. 84. Who would believe that man is but a container to mathematics? 85. Man, you will cry as long as you are a virgin. 86. Godliness is the salt of science. 87. The universe will end with a cadence. 89. Should anything or anyone stop a man from doing his work? 91. Man has no other mystery than his own being, because a mystery is not a thing inscrutable, but only veiled. 92. When the universe will have given birth to all that lays in itself, there will still be, as in the birth of particular bodies, an afterbirth. That is the halftime of Daniel. 93. Man, beware of the prayer of the indolent, who wants to have everything without work. 95. God is good. He is doing good through us, then rewards us for it. 96. Adam, before his crime, could electrify by communication. Now he can only do it by friction. But 101. The original sin propagates itself without rest, and in all kinds of shape, until the 104. Every disharmony comes from the number 2. Harmony proves it with reason. 105. Even worms are not eating what is alive. 106. What could we say before we had our first communion? 107. If you do good, you will have all the knowledge. 108. God is not 3 in 1, he is 1 in 3. 112. The head of man has eaten his tail. That is why the human species doesn't have a tail. Vice versa, if the animals have tails, it is because they don't have a head. 112. The head of man has eaten his tail. 114. Man should be in the hand of God as a child kept on a leash. He doesn't go where he wants. He is led everywhere. 115. True science is power, confidence, and humility. 116. Man suffers as long as he didn't catch the bridle of his horse. 119. They absolutely refuse to distinguish the plain nature from the reasonable nature. 120. The course of a straight line is 3. The one of a curve is 4. How can they ever be reconciled? 121. Only those who possess the square are true scientists, and according to God, nobody knows it perfectly. 123. How can we make two without three? 124. The fourfold travels always straight. 125. Man's first law is to refrain from calling the name of God in vain, because he is exposed to his name every moment of his life. 129. The only work of man is his circumcision. 130. When will I know my baptismal name? 132. The purpose of every instant of our material life is to have us acquire more strength and virtue. 133. The death of the body is the man's second birth. 134. There are people who spend their lives without eating. 135. Some men are frightened to believe in the sevens, and what they are believing then in threes. 138. The upper part is dry, the lower part is wet. Women like vinegar, men like wine. 141. Never pray for your own desires or own will, unless you are absolutely certain of the good that may come from it. 142. The number 13 is the number of nature. How large is the progression of ignorance? 144. Never forget that word and action exist, and that nothing can be accomplished without the eightfold. 146. It is a great science to know not to hurry. 147. How great is a humble and simple man. 149. The perpetual betrayal of man is his unceasing search of the quadrature of the circle, and his attempt to reunite the darkness, 9, with the light, 4. 150. If I let one single globule of air from a balloon, the entire balloon will empty itself in an instant. This is why, as long as the universe will remain, nobody will ascend in the divine atmosphere, otherwise everything would be reintegrated. 151. Man should not be surprised by anything coming from the wisdom. That would be the way to become extremely powerful while always remaining humble. 152. To know the origin of the bodies, one should have seen a delivery. I have seen it. 155. When you will have spent 15 years on your belly, you will have earned the permission to speak. 157. As was the principle of conception, it is also the number of its fruit, of its duration, and of its generating virtue as well. So women lose about the same number in the same time. 159. If you want to begin something, first bleed to death. 162. I have explained why the human species doesn't have a tail. 112. It also demonstrates why animals do have one. It is because they don't have a head. 165. Without 3, there wouldn't be any balance. 167. Before doing anything, a hook must be securely fastened. 168. How many great men have a body below them? 169. I cannot conceive anything that is not a continual repetition of the standards in the spiritual, the elementary, the material. 170. Man always forgets that he lives in a city at war. 171. Cleanse your body, then pray. The rest will come by itself. That is the secret. 172. When the number of matter is added to the number of its principle, the value of the result is half of the true number. This is the reason for the universal disintegration. The same number presides to the principle of matter and increases its destruction. 173. We must pray God for the ills he is sending us. For those we do to ourselves, we must also heal them ourselves. 174. In the tribunals of civil justice, one is requested to raise the hand to give the oath. Oh, if the judge knew the reason for it, XX. 175. The value of the word kohen is 34 because it is the incorporation of the minor with the elementary. 176. In an instant, man has forgotten his lesson. He will need the entire duration of time to learn it. 178. When my watch is broken, I have it repaired by the watchmaker who built it. 183. The Kohens triple the value of all the Hebrew letters because of the three worlds, and the alphabet is inverted because Moses veiled science. 185. 8 times 8 is 64. What greater proof of the universality of action and double action? 187. Beware of the day following a day of joy. 188. Science is only the scaffold. Godliness is the building. 189. There are but 4 intervals. The 3 first steps, that is what composes the stairs. 1, 3, 5, 7, 10. The last one is 4. 190. The soul is the trustee of movement. How could it die? 191. The human body is a mixture of all the things created, as it is itself a creature. The body is composed of solids, fluids, signs, weights, measures, proportions, acute, obtuse, and right angles, triangles, simples, doubles, triples, circles, perfect and long squares, sounds, words, actions, thoughts, intentions, and circumferences, until the number 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 equals 64. 193. I cannot repeat enough that the fourfold is the medium, the bound, the universal ladder. It is the center of the figures. It stands between the circle and the triangle. It keeps the middle of the 3 kinds of angles, etc. 194. Is there anything else but the sevens and the 7? 201. There is more water than earth. There is more fire than water. There is more word than fire. 202. Refrain from speaking when you will not feel the importance of a thought and when you may speak in vain. 205. There is not one single instant when man cannot say mass, which means to call. 206. The sun is to the corporal nature what Christ is to the spiritual nature. 207. Sulfur is below, salt above. Mercury is the mediator. It lays in the space of the center, and therefore is the universal bound of the mixtures. 208. Abraham's posterity remained in slavery in Egypt for 430 years. This number represents the suffering of the soul, and the body during our wants and its reunion gives the suffering of the spirit. 209. The number 9 following one or more numbers doesn't change their value because all possible changes of the form will never alter their principle. 211. Only the prayer of the just man can do anything, so begin to justify yourself. 212. Women were not created to have children. They are the only ones to have a monthly cycle. And 2. Who the approach of the male is not an absolute necessity. 213. The most learned man is the one who prays the most. 214. When you allow the 5-fold to penetrate the 4-fold, it leaves the 3-fold in peace. But if you want to remove it from the 4-fold, it is the 3-fold that leaves. 217. Science is the reward of godliness. 219. The universe is composed only of centers, and the center is matter. When are then the bodies? 220. Man is born with 3 gifts: the conservation of the body, of the spiritual, and the gift of invocation. These gifts, properly cultivated, provide the 4th one, the gift of command. This is the unity of the 4-fold. 221. In whatever country man lives on earth, he has to cross the Jordan River to travel to Jericho. 2. 221. In whatever country man lives on earth, he has to cross the Jordan River before traveling to Jericho. 222. Man is the mattress of God. What can he do if he separate himself from him? 223. Do not rest before having fixed Mercury. 224. What a beautiful sacrifice is a stainless host. 4. 225. In assembly as in separation, salt is always around and above Mercury. In assembly, it preserves it. In separation, it is an obstacle and prevents it from coming back into forms. Then it is also the preserver of sulfur to prevent it from being reconquered. But in the assembly, it was the obstacle of the obstacle. 227. If you want to know something, learn about the triangle, but not as men do. They make it the death of science. 229. Always think of your life. 231. The rust of iron is not toxic as the one of copper because of its salt. 232. How could we not believe in visions? Universal creation is but just that. The entire difference is that it is longer and more restrained than the others. 233. The Spirit wants so much good for us that it overlooks the evil we are doing. 234. Fire is the beginning and the end of the element. Water is the beginning and the end of embodiment. Earth is the beginning and the end of form. 237. Bid and blush to be here. 239. Clean the streets of the city the day before the great feasts. 240. 241. Take Mercury before touching the extract of Saturn, because Mercury makes the preparation. 242. I love but one single man in the world, and I am also loved by him. 242. I don't love one single man in the world, but I am also loved by him. 244. When the great priest enters the temple, he cleans and rejoices, and the use of tapestry and the passage of processions make one and the other emblems. 245. All the occupations of men are intended to avoid praying to God. 246. The natural language of men is not very well known. We all speak foreign languages. 247. Man, why do you suffer when you have the power to pray to God? 249. The Spirit taken away from us, the heart is all what is left. And this is the sacrifice we have to make if we want to recover the light. 252. The natural circle is formed in all directions, and it produces everything by itself. The artificial circle, on the contrary, begins by the end, which is the triangle. 255. Matter is not the one to be cleansed, because it is dirty compared with the spirit that must be pierced it. But it is the prisoner that needs to be kept clean. Then matter is no longer an obstacle. 257. The purpose of the panacea and the human geometry is to find a spirit that is matter, so that it becomes possible to avoid using what is not. This is also the purpose of men in the justice they have made, to avoid using the one they have not made. But let us see what they find, and if there is something else after one. 258. The triangle is produced by three other triangles, with their centers. Their product make 3, and when adding fire, it makes 7, and that shows life is everywhere. 259. After death, if you have been wise, you will see much better than now what happens in the two worlds. If you are not, you will only feel it, but see nothing. 261. Evil came to existence by the reunion of 4 and 5, and evil is destroyed by the same reunion. 263. Men can only make 3. Nature makes 10, 9, 7, 6, 4, 3, and 1 altogether. That is to say that nature makes one more than the power of man can make today. 264. Always remember that you have a body that belongs to earth. 265. 3 is the coach, 4 is the driver, 10 is the way. 266. It is the center of the principles of the mixed that keep them active and therefore in suffering. This center is to be feared, and there is another that must be desired. It is the one of 53,290. 267. There are 3 sacraments that involve only the form and do not require any preparation, because they are freely given. The 4 other ones require some, and therefore may only be bestowed when there is intelligence. 268. One thing is to have understanding of the operation, another understanding of the reason for the operation. The beings incarnated in a body have the understanding of the first. The other is given only to the 10, the 9, and the 4. 269. If we were alone, but there he is, who is the reason for not making one when we go towards him? 267. Whatever place a man goes, how isolated he may be, these 3 are always together. 272. If a man would begin by learning the principles of things, he would see how the knowledge of the rest would be simple and familiar. 274. Is there anything more beautiful, more useful, and more respectable than a wheel? 10,009. 275. Man has life within, and he is frightened of something. That means that he cannot manage to persuade himself of it. 276. 10 is the first son of the Father, and the Father of the Son men consider as the first. Finally, 10 is a child in everything, and 4 contains everything, because he always gives priority to 10. Who is the head? 278. We should kill time, 5, but it is time that kills us. 279. It is because man does too many things he wants to do that he cannot do the things his guide wants him to do, because this guide is absolutely good. The will of man shouldn't be or otherwise be one with his, and that is the obstacle or the supreme accomplishment of wisdom. 280. If you do not seek for science, it will come to you, but only if you are not seeking for anything else. 281. I feel every day that the spiritual active kills the animal passive, and man is on earth for none other reason. 283. Sensible lies are no lies at all. The only lies are those made against the insensible. So, as far as we don't lie against him, let us be at peace. The harm will be only in the temple, not in the sanctuary. 284. Corruption is the mattress of the creatures, especially of the insects. So keep yourself clean, that they may not eat you. 285. 2 makes 5. 286. The best way to ask God to elevate us above our senses is to elevate us by ourselves. 288. Blessed is he that does know only submission to his chief and to prayer. 292. Who better conserves, but who made it? 293. Nothing can be seen if there is no chief, no agent, no subject or instrument, and finally, no work. That is the work of all the natures and of everything made and produced by it. 294. As the soul can live independently of a body, so many bodies live independently of their soul. 295. The terrestrial orient is given to man to serve as a ladder. 296. 6 is its number, 4 its property. That makes 10, and that is the image. 7 is its nature, 10 its second property. The reason for its resemblance. 17, the double. P, we must separate 6 from 4. They are 2 things. 296. 6 is its number, 4 its property, and that is the image. 7 is its nature, 10 its property. The reason for its resemblance. 17. 297. Alert, alert. As long as you will reside among the sons of violence, they will persuade you that they are something, when they are nothing. 298. When the voice sounds for a while, it is good. When it is abrupt and sudden, it is bad. 299. Mercury is white because it is in the center. When it is taken away from the center, it turns black. It is ready for action because it is pure. It is motionless because it resides in indifference. 300. Among the visible things, no impression of the action of the true beings must remain. This is why they cannot understand the light. 301. The element is produced by the reunion of the essences, and the reunion of the elements produces the bodies. This is why the elements are ninefold, and so are the forms. 302. If you want to remain without pride, think about how much you will have to pay to have it, and that will be enough to keep you humble. 303. The best evidence of one's love for justice is to apply it to one's self. 304. Never elevate the fourfold above the fourth power. The remainder is abomination. Nothing else can be because 4, 8, 3, and 7 equal 1. 306. 307. The elementals are as many prisoners that keep one prisoner of another nature. 308. The evidence that God didn't create nature, but that he had it made, lays in the fact that the spiritual soul of man joins his form only when the corporal principle has built it, and man is the little world. 309. If there is only one, how can 3 be something, when it is only 2? 310. 4 can only be submitted to 3 divisions, the first, the second, and the third. Therefore, among created things, there cannot be straight line nor squares. 311. Man was created only to make worlds. 312. 5 times 14 makes 70. 5 times 9 make 45. That is the enigma of forms, their end and their boundaries, and the property of the fivefold. It is absolutely right that the fivefold be the aliquot part of all these products, because it is its factor. 313. Good didn't create evil, nor did evil create good. Likewise, 1 didn't produce 2, nor 2 times 2 cannot be 4. 314. When there is no light at the ends of the container, but only at the center, the power is shown in latitude and longitude, but not the image of the fourth essence, because then it could be considered as the fivefold. This fourth essence consists of 3 for the inferior and 1 for the superior, but 4 is as 1, and that makes 7. Man has everything on himself. 315. Beware of your observations on nature. Research with a pure, wise, and innocent desire. Focus on simplest things without trying to penetrate with an investigating eye and before its time. Man's science is vain for that reason. 316. 3 is taken for Moses. Because of Moses, Aaron, and Or. 317. 2 is taken for Joshua, because Joshua and Caleb. 318. 3 is taken for Abraham, because of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. 319. 1 is taken on Caleb, because he was alone. 320. On Jacob only 1 is taken, because he didn't have posterity in matter. 321. The travels of man within his 3 prisons. The first is the fivefold, the second the ninefold, and the third the sixfold. All this creates confusion. 5 plus 9 plus 6 equals 20. 322. Light of light, fire of fire, life of life. 323. The white color is the divine spiritual, the red is the terrestrial spiritual, and the black is destruction. 324. The planetary action is general and universally intertwined, so the particular distinction of the created beings, especially the metals, come from their particular law, not from a special action of the planet. 325. Any form is a character of a being itself, of its action, and it is its operation and its hieroglyph. 326. The first envelope of the bodies is oily, the second salty, the third is mercurial, as the principle of form. Then the inner sulfur makes the fourfold center of the alpha and omega. 327. There are 3 months for every equinox, that is 6 moons. 329. The true Sabbath begins on the Tuesday following the 14th day of the moon in March. So the Sabbath of the Jews is 4 days late, the one of the Christians 1 day early. The Sabbath of the Jews begins with the first star, which is the spiritual law. 330. Speak little, otherwise your science would be taken as a system, as it is done for all the others. 334. All men's troubles come because they cannot convince themselves that there are many spirits to which thought is refused. 335. Ecce homo 2. 338. Do you want to know the principle and the ordinance of everything? Just watch the line of the fishermen. 339. We describe curves in latitude towards the south or the north, and never straight lines in longitude. 342. The evidence of the eightfold lays in the sum of the measures of universal creation, that is to say, latitude without the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3. Latitude with the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7. Latitude with the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Curve in latitude towards north, 1, 2, 3, 3, 9. Curve in latitude towards south, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 6. The product of all these sums is 8, of which the total product is 7. 343. Drawing on the previous table, 345. 1 time, 2 times, and half of 1 time. That means 4, 4, and 2 minus 10, or 4, 4, 4, 2. That makes 5. 350. The 4 numbers 3, 6, 7, and 9 have each the unity for proportion. This proves that the primordial unity is fourfold, and that it is universal. 353. Until the age of 7, a man lives in innocence. Older than 7, he may be stained. Older than 15, he is capable of crime. 354. Latitude is the base, longitude the perpendicular. This demonstrates the folly of men to search for it at the surface. 357. Do not ask to be relieved from the penalty resulting from your mistakes. That would be unjust and keep you in temptation. But ask the grace of not making other mistakes. 360. To learn mathematics is good, because it teaches measure in your head, and when it is in your head, it will also be in your entire being. 361. If you want to know the others, begin by knowing yourself, because everybody is a mirror. 362. Man is the element of the woman. That is what Moses tried to say. So when the woman within man dies, it is because of his I. But man doesn't die because he is, and because she is also, the woman doesn't die either. 364. What a beautiful thing is the making of a tapestry, mainly when we have a plank for a table and our tongue as a needle. 365. The quadrature is easily found when the circle is admitted, that is to say, easily in numbers, but impossible in figure. 366. The woman seeks to destroy the one who builds, but trying to build the one who destroys, she is practically always dead. 367. The universe is but a bandage. 368. When a man is too wise, he is no longer wise, because then he would act, and that would be a great evil. 369. The elementary oracles are the blood of the earth raising above its head. 371. Nothing is easier than to feel that the fivefold action is the minor begins by the blood. 372. The heart of man is a sanctuary wherein nothing false, nothing weak should enter. 373. If a man wants to be happy, it is very easy. Let him begin to talk. 374. Don't let me do the evil I want to do. Let me do the good I don't want to do. 376. The aquatic part of the world is made of perfect spherical globes, of which we can only see one half. 377. To feel how much one mistake puts us back is terrible. 378. The true way to redeem one's mistakes is to correct them, and for those which cannot be corrected, not to lose courage. 381. One word kept becomes stronger, because nothing makes a man strong as silence. Da capo. 381. One word kept becomes stronger, because nothing makes a man strong as silence. 382. If you act without intelligence, very soon you will lose intelligence. 383. Those who salute the crosses should always keep their hats in their hands, because everything is filled with crosses, and nothing exists without them. 383. Those who salute the cross should always keep their hats in their hands, because everything is filled with crosses, and nothing exists but by them. 387. The two equinoxes for the good, the two solstices for evil. The first two relate to vegetation and adoption. The other two relate to putrefaction and dissolution. This is for and against. 388. The animals and other physical corporal beings belong to the small temporal world. Man belongs to the universal world by his intelligence. 390. The world is, there is only one. 391. From the divine to the sun, 7. From the sun to the earth, 7. There are 12 heavens. If we add the earth, we will have 4. 392. When you remove the one from the temporal, 5, 6, 7, 8, fivefold, to reset it to the simple power, and you add the rest, you have 25, the time of the horrible expiation. And after this expiation, the one will be reunited to the sevenfold to reestablish perfection. 393. From the east come all good things, for internal actions as for external ones, winds, breezes, etc. Evil things come from the west, for the elementary and the particular animals as well. 394. 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 10, 6, 7, 8, 44. It operates on the other 6 to make the universal ninefold. Blessed are those who know this and can use it. 395. As 2 makes 3, 5 makes 6. 396. The entire nature has a double use. The sensible may be seen everywhere, and so the intellectual, 8 and 10. 401. 7 is the woman. 404. I believe that we could make our circle with salt, and that it would work as well. 405. Always look for the country where you may humble yourself, without being exposed to ridicule and criticism. 407. The time of the spirit consists in 4 intervals. The one of matter has only 2. 408. The one who makes is 2. The thing made is 3. 409. God doesn't create, his hand does. So the operations of the hand of God are not the same as the ones of God himself. 411. There is nobody greater than the one who prays. 413. 2 or 9 operations are needed to make a cube. 415. Earth is a kettle. 416. The sum of the angles in the center is always equal to the sum of those at the circumference, equals 9 plus 1. 417. Never pray with a bare head. 419. A bad thought manifests a good thought. 420. Man, always try to feel that there is something above you. 423. The way from here to there is much longer than from there to here. That is why we cannot see those who see us. I'm going to read that one again. 423. The way from here to there is much longer than from there to here. That is why we cannot see those who see us. 424. Do you want it? Yes. Don't you want it? Keep it that way. 425. The 42 camps of the Jews begin for a man at the death of his body, because 6 times 7 make 42, and that we have to travel through it to reach 49, which is rest or the Sabbath. 426. A Swiss or a frontier post is needed in creation, and it is 49 who is using it. 427. I cannot see a more beautiful thing than nature, except for him who made it. 428. In the morning rejoice, but cry in the evening. 434. Godliness is nourished by action. 436. Give to everything a suitable nourishment. The body fed with spirit is stunned. The spirit doesn't feed the body, it burns it. 438. Surface knows 2 dimensions. There is only one in elevation. 439. Width is 5-fold in the arch. The 2 other dimensions are 3-fold. 440. There are only 2 planets to give light. The others are for the maintenance of the forms, not for their light. 442. The aspersion is made before birth. The 7 physical spiritual classes of the bodily life are but the 7 properties of such aspersion. They follow the progression of form, because form needs to be prepared. 443. It is good to raise the heels once in a while, especially in the perfume. 444. Don't be frightened of him. He is your friend. 454. In the beginning there was only one point. The explosion made it a circle. So the entire nature has been made. 455. The one who cries is worthy of envy. 460. Always beware the horizontal diameter. 461. Do you want to see the serpent of Genesis? Count to 10. Remove the first digit. The remainder will be 0 or an 0. 4612. 461, 2. To know the nature of form in matter, it is enough to observe the circumference, and to see the value of its character. 462. The point existed before the circle. It will be after it. 463. The earth is the receiver, the abyss is the fire, heaven is the water, and the entire creation may be considered as the mercury, between 5 and 7. 464. All men are syringes. 465. If we had the courage to ask, we wouldn't have to do anything. It would be done for us. 466. Is there any obstacle or any pain for anyone who knows how to purify his motives? 467. When we operate on the physical corporal, we can only have corporal results and notions. 468. The way from here to there is much longer than the one from there to here. This is why we cannot see those who see us. 472. It is not difficult to find out why man is on earth. It is to beg. 472. It is not very difficult to understand why man is on earth. It is to ask for alms. 473. The minor dissonances descend, the major ones rise. 474. Sun, Jupiter, Mars, Mercury. 475. Pride can only be found far away from the principle. 477. Any man can send his letters free of charge. 478. The true way to ask for things in prayers is to get there with courage to take them. 480. Men should be satellites of the earth, but they are its persecutors. 483. The real evidence that we may recover our fourfold down here is that we are able to see the center or being. 486. Beware, don't be an astronomer, but you may be an astrologer as long as you don't make horoscopes. 488. Friendships that are not triangular have no consistency and are without bonding. They only lead to confusion. 489. I am powerless as long as I don't have freedom for my spiritual operations. Therefore, I will travel in peace and wait with confidence. 490. The individual man is the evidence for the general man. I mean that the minor as the major was forced to struggle against the enemies of truth. 496. You must use your power in times of hardship, and if you have the patience and the courage to endure all its bitterness, you may be sure of being rewarded. 499. Do not be discouraged before being out from below of earth, because as long as you are there, you may hope to achieve your reconciliation. 507. Do not believe that you may achieve anything before being reconciled. 510. When we are close, we are humble, but we may be far away and still the closest, because our being has freedom of action on his own, and that for him there is no space nor distance. We do not always operate upon him. He always operates upon us. 515. The attacks begin when the purification occurs. As long as order is maintained, there will be no trouble. 519. Confidence gives life, because it puts off death and protects from it. 522. The green color is composed of blue and yellow because of vegetation. 526. You are pressing in vain. Your will shall accomplish nothing at all. 529. Nothing will be any more, because these words have been spoken. Eli lama sabachthani. 530. The great work is twofold, the molestation and the reintegration. This leads to glory, and three things are led by the center or through the square. 532. It is clear that the sevenfold is given in the temporal. 539. Some operate with ferocity and rudeness, others with gentleness and prudence. 541. Numbers are to be considered by their divisions and relationship to unity, because this is the way to learn about their properties. 542. To be purified, to ask, to receive, and to act, these are the four phases. 545. O suffering! As long as the fourfold shall be separated from unity, it will be the source of all evils and all confusion. 548. How can we write when the pen is not split? 3. 549. It is good to observe that the leaf of the vine is fivefold. 551. He is pleased only in the peace of the senses of matter. Similarly, it is in the elementary peace that the superior acts. 552. Once in a while, put your hands on your hips. 554. There is a proportion between the increase of spiritual powers in man and the strength of the battles he is engaged in. When his powers weaken, the attacks increase, and if he is vanquished, should he complain? 555. Do not cease to plow your field, from the east to the west, from the north to the south. That is the true way to make it fertile. 557. It is easy to recognize him, because he can never hide his physical deformity. 559. Hold on. The true prayer keeps you in joy and good health. 563. All the disharmony comes from the first evil ever generated, and disharmony perpetuates itself by the same vicious generation. 564. If there was equality between an image and its type, the image wouldn't be necessary. 566. Abraham's temple lays between the east and the west. Because he has 318 servants, he is fourfold or central. 571. I have already said that the ninefold was at least neutral as regards spirituality. Indeed, or it is form. or it is evil. 572. It is absolutely clear that there is a proportion between the third number and 7, because 7 is its attribute. 575. Do not rest before you feel that you are quite sure of what you are doing, and not a lot even thereafter. 576. There is a will that doesn't depend on us, but there is another that depends from us and will allow us to acquire the first one. 577. Let us not ask before we know what to do with it. 579. If you are very brave, your preparation may happen anywhere. 581. A priest must live from the altar. It is absolutely certain that he who approaches the altar shall live. 582. Dissolution happens by the elemental fire, because it is by the torture of that fire that construction came. 584. What regards forms, nothing can exist without its powers, because bodies are only that. 585. There are 2 crosses for the reintegrations, one for the creature and the other for the spiritual. 586. No trace of the sevenfold can be found in the human form, because it is not a material incorporation. 587. The triangle and the center are the essence of the fourfold. Its receptacle shows its action. 589. The order of the spiritual principles in man is the same as the arrangement of the elementary principles in the bodies. 590. As long as the bodily state will remain, there will be an upper celestial state or a temporal celestial state that will not be bodily. 595. When watching our fire burn, we can see the terrestrial come down and the celestial go up, and so it is also for the human dissolution. 596. We always begin with the form. That is why there are 2 testaments. 597. Do not be impatient for little things. 600. Only those who will not hear me will hear me. 601. Speak only with these who have chosen wisdom. Those who believe they can do without it are not suitable. 603. There is an isolated binary that is bad, but there is another that binds that is good. 605. 1 and 1 is 2, and 1 is 3, and 1 is 4, and 1 is 5, and 1 is 6, and 1 is 7, and 1 is 8, and 1 is 9, and 1 is 10. Everywhere, action and reaction. 612. Sometimes it is not necessary to hurry the first time, because with a little patience there is a repetition. 614. The celestial as the terrestrial are both only made for the edge of man over his enemies. 617. Do not expect anything as long as you're thinking about it. 620. The great monarch is the expression of the fourfold on longitude and latitude. 623. Excess in food is not only occupies blood, it tires it and takes the necessary strength away from it to sustain the work. 624. Think often to do the upkeep of the element and the elementary as you are busy anyway. 625. There is nothing without a union. Let us try to make good ones. 627. What is the saddest in the work? Is to be forced to atone and to die. 630. The passé is to be done in the corners. This is why angels are assigned there. 633. There is a confidence of the speech that means death, and another of the heart and of action that means life. 634. The mistake of man has made one more virtue, so the reconciliated is impeccable. 635. Greece doesn't travel. This is why it is forbidden. 636. In mathematics, even numbers are counted beginning with 0 instead of 1. 1 doesn't see that it is 1 and produces 0, and not 0 that produces 1. 637. If other worlds existed, man would know. 638. When it travels on the same side, it is a little thing. It should be still or travel everywhere. 641. Anyone who doubts the infinite powers of nature is doing considerable damage to himself. 643. There is a tenfold in form by joining the intestines to the fivefold, and then counting further the four noble parts. 644. The hieroglyph shows the certainty and the nature of the character, as action shows the nature of the intention. That is their symbol. 645. It will come if it wants to. 646. The game of the four corners is the most difficult of all games. This is why it cannot be played before having learned the one that came to them. 649. 5 is closed because of the violence. 650. After confession comes absolution. After absolution comes communion. After communion comes mandate. 653. Evil cannot read inside the good. That gives us a tremendous advantage over it. 655. All men have the book before their eyes. They only miss a pair of glasses, and a pair of glasses, which are two pairs of glasses. 657. Do not indulge in sensible pleasures before you are strong enough to despise them. 660. Why should it be surprising that Christ knew the scriptures by heart? He wrote it, or he had it written. 661. If the bodies would contain four elements, the world would be eternal. 662. The bodily world was born by need. 664. There was no air in the mattress, because air is only needed for the reaction. 665. The Ismailite merchants provided resin to the Egyptians. 667. When something appears always the same, it is probably only elementary, because the animal is infinite and limitless. 668. The white color of the walls reflects the light. This is why that color is most suitable, above any other. 669. We see the bodily by the eyes of the body only, and the other with the eyes of the soul, as well as by the eyes of the body, all of it physically. 672. There is but one sin, cowardice. 675. To pray is to cleanse oneself, because it is to fight. 676. The resurrection of the bodies and the resurrection of the flesh are not the same thing. 677. A man shall walk with respect, because he cannot make one step without placing one foot above the other. 678. The two progressions of corporeal beings are fourfold. This is a universal truth. 679. The number 4 is the only one that has the property to give in its square, a number 4 times larger than itself. Therefore there is but one square, as there is but one unity. 681. The cause that gave birth to the beings will walk with them, and sustain them, and support them until the end of their existence, and that is why the prophets cried so much. 682. Resembling what has been divided, dividing what has been reassembled. This is the task of all the medicine. 685. To attract in the physical, set 1 degree under. If you set 1 degree above, it will grow. 687. There are but 2 posterities after Adam. They are the type of primary things. There are 3 after Noah. They are the type of secondary and tertiary things. 688. On one hand, there is 1, 4, 7, 8, and 10, and on the other, 2, 3, 5, 6, 9. Everything is there for the present. 689. I recommend to walk in longitude and in latitude because of the reaction. 690. Ishmael didn't get any manifestation. It was only a type of matter. 691. We don't know where it comes from, but the important thing is not to know but to feel. 692. To go forward, always wait. 693. The coarse humid cannot replace the radical humid. When it is altered, only its principle can do it. 694. As man took his body from earth, he also has taken his 3 preservatives, because his body is a preservative. 695. Between God and man, time is the only difference, because there is some similitude or bond in the number. 696. The inferior fire consumes, the superior fire creates, produces, gives birth. So we see that the inferior fire makes a bad fecundation. 697. The binary lets himself be known as far as the properties of the same species. 700. Make that I shall not doubt my word. 703. Etymology of the true words would teach everything. 707. There are only 3 kinds of corporals, the black, the red, and the blue, but there are 4 kinds of spiritual, the red, the blue, the green, and the white. And is the white not temporal? 710. It is not surprising that for those who believe they are something, because yet as we have nothing, it has to come from somewhere. 711. Pythagoras was right to forbid beans to his disciples, because it is dirt without water. 713. Wherever you go, if you walk by 4, you will be sure to travel well. 714. Pharaoh ordered 2 midwives to kill the children of the Hebrews. 715. The 7 folds are truly submitted to man, because they are the only power of 4. 717. Time will come when only the finger may be used. 718. As long as matter reigns, we are too young. I'm going to read that again. 718. As long as matter reigns, we are too young. 721. The domain of the earthly threefold is the surface, the active is the perpendicular. We can only move but by the curve when we are not at the foot, or if such curve doesn't exist, it must be made, and that is the abomination. 722. Go for it in your domain and your heritage. 724. There are 3 meanings to the unleavened bread: the sorrow of deprivation, the preparation for the purification, and the memory of the origin. 725. How can men say they are learned when they spend their lives asking questions? 732. Science is useless to those who have faith, but where are they? And what is science without faith? Doctor! 732. Science is useless to those who have faith, but where are they? 734. Every form is a temple, and every temple is sacred. Out of the elementary, earth and man accepted. 738. There is nothing else to know but the 3 letters below and the 4 above. That is what made everything. 739. Always take your orient at the orient, never in the south. 740. It is possible for men to be as the devil, who never see their illusion, but then it is, or a type, or a punishment. 741. Only a man that is constantly tickled is happy. 742. Sometimes it comes also through the blood. Often it begins in such a way, but that doesn't matter. 745. Water is produced by salt. Sulfur is produced by fire. Earth is produced by mercury. 746. Dissolution always begins with salt, and it is water that gives it, but it is the fire that gives it. Lapsus should probably be produces it. See number 745. 747. Spiritual regeneration and universal corporal regeneration have both the same cradle. 751. The elementals all decompose in water. It is what misleads many people on the nature of the composing and composed things. 753. After the first consummation, there is still 7 times 7 for the accomplishment. 4 and 7. 754. As long as you will not see things as they are, it is as if you will know nothing. I'm going to read that again. 754. As long as you will not see things as they are, it is as if you will know nothing. 755. To suffer is to progress significantly. 757. The 4 quarters of the moon, the last is longer than the first 3. It is 8-fold. The 3 others are only 7-folds. There is a kind of order that produces disorder, the one from below, so beware. But let everyone follow his own path. 763. Always study the earth of man, because it is by it that the vegetations and the helps of all kinds shall come to you. 764. Intervals of time are not the time, therefore such interval is the time of the Spirit, that needs to be taken between 3 and 4, 6 and 7, 9 and 10, 12 and 1, etc. 765. Stay ready to answer when you will be called, because the call rarely will come twice. 767. We all have a clean mirror, spotless, defectiveless, and in which we can see ourselves any time. 768. The head of the child comes first, then the chest, then the bones of the hips, as the image of the explosion of chaos. 770. The simple 3-folds cannot resist the 7-folds. That is why Jacob was hurt by the angel, because he was searching only for matter. 771. It is not before, but at the very moment that we must be brave and assemble our powers. 772. Our corporal senses are the channel of evil, but they are also the channel of the good. It is a great blessing that he had them given to us. 777. Mercury is the coldest body in nature because it resides in indifference. It is not moved by the external agents as the bodies that already have acquired their forms. 774. If there was something for the incorporation of man in the form, there will be something for its separation. 775. Everything is symbol in nature, therefore the natural character shows the hieroglyph quite well. 776. If monsters would reproduce, the internal covenant would be variable. 777. Weight or fullness is an important matter. Measure is the clock, the number is fire. 779. Without salt, the outside agents would have too much hold on the body. Without oil, salt would corrode it. Therefore, the one and the other are in its envelope. 780. If the upper celestial gives too much or too little, the forms suffer. That is the general law for the terrestrial, etc. 782. The criminal laws of Moses didn't come from him, because there were no judges to speak them. They have been transposed by the compilers. 784. The Zephyr or Sephirah, which means the birth of the day, always come from the east. 785. When there will be no sun nor moon, we shall have our best sight. 786. The first proof of what we have must be made on us, and who shall be the master in his home shall be the master everywhere, as everything is ours. 787. I repeat, there shall be any other science that will always do as much through the red as through the white. 788. Try that for all your enemies. There will be nothing more respectable, and consequently more dreadful, than your presence, because that is the privilege for man, that it would suffice to show himself. 789. As we are losing ourselves practically at every step, we should have an absolution following us everywhere. 793. The evil seduces and enchants. The good gives us time to reflect. 794. The 3 times are and always will be universal, and that may be known in every mode, in every case, the infinite. 795. One shouldn't ask why things are not better. The best is, but we are not part of it. 799. May your soul rejoice when it feels you live among the verbs. 800. If one asks what wisdom is, you shall respond by not responding at all. Conclusion. The end.